welcome along and welcome to a very wet day here on OakHill. We're doing a little bit of cleanup to start off with today. We need to get access to the rye seeds at the back of this shed. So what we're going to do is we're going to just move a couple of these pallets about, get ourselves access to it and bring it forwards. We then want to fill up our seeder with the rye because today we're going to be getting the 2 canola fields that recently failed reseeded with the rye for next year. So try and get a little bit ahead of ourselves, hopefully sort things out. We did have somebody say to me that if I start planting before the end of harvest, it will go straight to dead. I want to test if that is an actual bug in Seasons. We're trying to debug Seasons in general, because if you've been following my live streams, you'll know that we've had some problems with Bessie Beneath recently, with every single field on that map failing to grow. And we've of course got 4 fields of ours on here that have failed as well. So I'm just wondering if there is an issue that we have that we need to address and need to get fixed. So it's going to be a little bit of testing and seeing what happens. I'm also trying to place these 2 herbicide barrels with the valves on the outside because we have got the manure system on here and we need to make sure we can easily connect these up to our sprayer in order to refill it. And that is then those 2 there, easily accessible to our sprayer when we need to get some more herbicide. And then we now have good access to the few bags of rye that are sitting here at the back of our shed and can pull these out. I want to go and use these up first. And once I use these up, I then want to go and grab another pallet of rye from the shop, which we will do with the seeder when we get to it. So let's put this here. That's going to be about right for our seeder. Now for this, we're going to be using our 7615. I did originally contemplate putting some joules on this, but as we're using the smaller seeder, the less wide one, I think it's probably not wise. Otherwise, we'd be wider than the actual seeder and therefore running over seeds with our extra wheel and sort of churning everything up. So we're going to try and avoid that. Now, I've had some issues with this recently. Yeah, that is not turning on at all. So I'm going to pull it forward. I'm going to have to do some connecting and disconnecting to try and get this to work, but it's a little bit finicky. There we go, finally got it all hooked up. Basically, I found with manual attach, if you have a problem with getting all of this connected up and getting this to work, the best way I've found to do it is connect up the power harrow and everything here, then disconnect this back section, pull forward, get the power harrow connected to the point where it's working, and then reconnect the back section. And that should work fine. It's a little bit complicated, but it's to do with overlapping triggers, so it's a little bit of a pain to get to work. Anyway, we are going to lift this up. We've got it filled up with only 330 litres, but I want to head up and get field 31 seeded first. So we're going to head up there and get that started. Field 31 was canola before, and one of the 4 fields that failed because it was the canola and the rye that all failed. And it's just around here. So we're going to try and get ourselves set up with GPS and all lined up as well. So I want to set myself up as well as I can along this edge of the field. Finish up here. Now this field goes right up to the hedgerow. It's one of the tighter fields we've got on here. Let's set our first waypoint, turn on our seeder, and then lower everything down, and away we go. Just along this edge here to give ourselves a first edge. After that, we want to set our second waypoint, set our width, and away we go. We're doing fairly well with our seed usage on here. We're down to 125 litres of rye seed, and I think that might be about halfway through, and we're about halfway through the field. We may have to fill up just before the end of this field. I don't think we're going to have to fill up any sooner. It might be that we have to get just enough to do the headlands, which would be fine. I'm fully expecting to have to buy more rye seed today anyway, and when we buy it, it's going to be more than we can fit in this seeder too. So either way, it works well. What I'm trying to avoid is spending a whole load of extra money I don't need to. We are already 9,000 in the red today. We've got to borrow money to buy more seed, so the less we have to borrow, the better. As I suspected, we're down to our last 10 litres, and we are right at the end of the field, about to do the headlands. We've got enough to do the main part of the field and not the headlands. Just 7 litres left, and what I'm going to do is take this. It's not going to make a huge difference to us taking 6 litres with us down to the shop, so I'm going to head away from here, head down to the shop, and let's get a refill of the rye. Now, I'm fully expecting that this is going to be enough in this seeder to finish today's job. It's only going to be about half of the pallet itself. So we need 1,800. We're minus 9,000. So we're going to need to borrow about 15,000, I think. Grab a pallet of rye. So we're going to buy the single pallet here of rye seed. And that is now waiting for us here at the shop. So pull up alongside, get it refilled. And as I said, this is going to take about half of this pallet. Maybe a little bit over. That's probably about 2/3 of the pallet, actually, rather than half of it. But still, more than enough for us to get our 2 fields finished today. Back to the field, and we should only have 2 headlands to do, so we can get ourselves in this position here. Yeah, we've left it with only 2 headlands. So turn it on, make sure both parts are turned on, drop it down, and away we go. And we're getting these pot-marked bits all over the field again, as we had when we did this last time. I think this is a side effect of this seeder. Because this seeder is in 2 parts, you've got the front cultivator bit and then the rear seeder part. It does have a gap between the cultivating and the seeding. And I think these pot marks are just little bits where the seeder has jumped, but the cultivator has hit. And it's quite an odd little side effect of having a seeder set up in this way. But the second part of our headland all done, and we've used 6% of the seed. That is field 31 reseeded, ready for next year. Will it grow? Only time will really tell. But we're going to head down to the bottom end of our farm and get the other canola field reseeded with rye now. And our second field to do is this one down here, field 74. We'll need to bring this into here. Hopefully 1,175 litres should be enough to do this. And I think our straightest edge is actually this one over here. So we'll line ourselves up down that. It's not fully straight, but it's close enough. Let's reset our start point down, and away we go along this edge here, and hopefully get this field seeded now as well. I've noticed as we're seeding this field, we're not getting the same sort of pot marking as we had on field 31, and I think I figured out why. You can see here our seeder is very much giving us a texture that is straight up the field. There's no real variation in it. And on field 31, because we were right on an angle, it was giving this weird pattern on the field. And as a result, the power harrow taking little chunks out as we go across the field. And then the seeder not quite catching that little bit that's creating those pot marks. We're coming to the end of the main body of the field, and we've used just over half a tank, or no, around about half a tank of the seed in the seeder. The rain held off for a little while, but it's since come back with a vengeance. With any luck, this rye is gonna grow this time. I really hope it is, because I don't know what to do if it doesn't. We've had this problem both on here and on Bessie Beneath. Bessie Beneath, it is far more pronounced. And if you have had similar problems with crops not growing, with seasons and precision farming, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm just trying to get to the bottom of why we have this issue on it, or have had this issue on here and on Bessie Beneath, where crops haven't grown. And if we can get to the bottom of that, we may be able to fix the issues. That is field 74 done though. And I'm going to run up to the shop quickly in a minute and go and grab the remaining seeds we've got. But in general, I'm pretty happy with that. We've got no pot marking on here, as I said, so it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Time will tell if this rye grows, though. Which means that all that remains is for me to say thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, drop us a comment, and give it a share. And for all the latest videos from Virtual Farmer, please subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.